show everyone that even things that I wanted didn't get in the budget for this building project, things that I feel very passionately about. The thing is, the question before us as a community and everyone in the 5 communities is this: if we don't pass the bond, then what do we do? Because the bond isn't just to make it nice. There's asbestos all throughout that building. There's ADA compliance issues that are significant. You can't get through the main office in a wheelchair. When Melvin did a tour of the building, he couldn't go in the main office. The electricity is a mess. We have, I'm sorry to put it that bluntly, but I just think my father-in-law is the first selectman in anyone know where Moscow, Maine is? So my father-in-law has been the first selectman of Moscow, Maine for 46 years. So I told this to the Warren board when I met with them a couple months ago. I said, Papa, what do I do? He said, just tell them the truth. Mainers don't want bull. And I said, okay, Papa, I'll just tell them the truth. So I'm going to tell you the truth. And as I see it, and what you choose to do with that is up to you. And I support you in what you choose to do with it, right? I'm here to help. I just want you to know that when you write a grant for a piece of cooking equipment and you can't run it because it clips the circuit breaker, kind of defeats the purpose. And that happens in our kitchen every day. The kitchen staff can't run equipment that they've gotten for free from grants because the power system can't handle it. When you have kids go to school and they have all these laptops and computers and the power structure from the building is from 1968, they can't charge the computers. And so the airflow, the layout of the building, the walls, the floors, it's all one huge gestalt that really is not sending a positive message to the kids that they matter to us. And so I know the 80 million was way too much. So my stance on this was use the shelter. We have declining enrollments right now. Now, there's a side of me that's super optimistic that if the communities fix this high school, that more people will move here. Because I think it does deter people. They want to know what the high school is going to be like for their children. And so what I said to people is, can we use the shell of the building? Don't move anything, and let's renovate what's necessary, not what would be nice. So this 24.9 million is all about what's necessary. And because they get into some things, we're able to make some things nicer. We have sinks that don't work in our science labs. Really, if any of you would like a tour, we would be happy to give you one, just so that you can see what it's like for the students every day. Because the building isn't the way it was 30 or 40 years ago when people went to school there. It's the same exact building with 30 more years of wear. And it's just a challenge. So I want you to know that we worked really hard to not disrupt the shell of the building because that cranks the price right up. So what we did was we focused on the internal systems in the building: power, HVAC, water, asbestos abatement, ADA compliance, moving walls to make things work and have a better flow. We wanted to build back the wall that went from, the school has the back with the 2 little arms that kind of go around the library. And a lot of people wanted the walkway built back the way it used to be. Yeah, it was way too much money. We just couldn't do it. So I just thought you should hear from someone that we tried really hard to keep this as cost effective as possible. And although everyone may not agree, I hope that everyone will do it's not going to pass if we don't support this together. It's not. It's got to come from the community. It can't come from some guy from Southern Maine who comes up here for a year and works. I'm not going to effectively get people to do this. You have to help us, and I'm here to answer any questions to ask you for that help. That's really the goal for me tonight, personally. And so I'm happy to be the, what do they call it? The bullseye or whatever. But
I just have a comment, which is that I echo what John said in terms of the work and the presentation of the budget and the reduction from 50 to how much you're asking? Under 25?
From 80.
Sorry, 80 to under 25. And I remember when that conversation began and going to presentations at the school and Brian standing up. From that point to this point, seeing these very well produced videos that do make a huge difference in terms of messaging and communication. And the clarity of the presentation and everyone here today, I think, sends a great message. I'm guessing most people here probably think it's a good thing that the building is brought up to date. So I don't know if this is the crowd that you're needing to convince, which is to say that why is this even a problem to get voters to support in the first place? There must be a bigger issue in terms of community relations between the school and the towns.
Yep.
I talked to someone today at an unrelated event to any of this, and he recounted his horrible experience at Madomic Valley High School. And he was bullied and he hates Waldoboro now because of this. And he says, talking to people today, that it hasn't much changed. Of course, not every student's experience is the same, but that the high school makes students feel like they don't have as much of a future as they can have. And of course, there are students who say there are teachers there that make me feel so good, but clearly that's not everyone's experience.
Sure.
So it's just a comment to say, it seems like there's a lot more work that needs to happen about showing the importance of a school to a community. And it does, I don't want to say start with the building, but the building is a huge part of it. And of course, you need to be learning in a good enough environment, right? But all the relationships need to be good enough, right? With the community, with the teachers. And I'm just asking a rhetorical question about how do we improve the relationships between the community as a whole and the school system? Because until you do that, you're not going to get this ongoing support that's needed to continue to fund, continue to invest.
Yep.
It's not just a nice school that brings families to an area. It's the entire feel of the community. And the school is a large part of that, but it exists in relationship to everyone else. So
I agree with you. There's a distrust of the school district that I've sensed from the moment that I got here. And I'm not sure where it comes from. There's a distrust towards school districts in general right now in the country. It's not just, excuse me, I caught the cold that everyone has. It's not just Madomic, but I think that you're right that we need to do the best that we can to reach out to people and to build positive relationships. I had a meeting today with we have a great lead architect that's working on this project, and EEI Energy Investments. I'm sorry, Brian, what is it?
Energy efficiency.
Thank you, Energy Efficiency Investments, and they developed the video for us, and that's a good start. And truly, I think the answer is the kids. If the kids have a positive experience, then they'll talk about it. And because it's just like if a bunch of administrators say, oh, this initiative's so great, we're going to do X, and the teachers hate it, you all know the truth. The teachers tell you, right? So it really is all about building community and working together. And that's part of what we did this fall with the school board. Is the school board, instead of just having a big meeting where everyone's talking the way we are now, they spent time in dyads with 2 board members and 1 administrator, and they would switch and talk. I wanted people in the organization to just know each other and talk about the issues that we face in a comfortable, safe way to get to surface the issues. There's nothing to hide. We have some problems here, but let's figure them out together, right? I always like to say, no one of us is as smart as all of us. So if any of you have ideas, call me. I want to hear from you. I want to help. Thank you.
I heard you when you said you're optimistic that enrollment will increase.
Yeah.
But in the last 4 years, we've dropped 220-ish students.
Mhm.
And my concern, one of my concerns, is that if our tax bills go up dramatically,
Mhm.
families that are raising children are gonna have a hard time moving in here and filling our buildings.
Mhm.
So I'm just concerned about the
Yeah.
balance of improving the infrastructure and bringing things up to code. But I also already said I work for RS-240 and I work in every single building. So I can tell you that Madomic Valley High School is not the only building that needs work.
Absolutely. Miller really needs some
And so-
work.
Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah. Yeah, we agree.
So, would it be my position to say, please increase your budget? However, I think it would behoove the board to hire a consultant to do a full envelope look of every single building and have that consultant group give you a 10-year plan or a 20-year plan so that it can be presented to taxpayers, because it is much easier sell for a taxpayer to see, hey, we have a plan. We're not throwing good money after bad.
Right.
And we have a plan that keeps our buildings nice. You know, the town does on a very small scale with the road system, a revolving. Every year it's in the budget, every year someone goes, could we do a few less roads, could we take some of that out? And it wouldn't be seen this year, right?
Mhm.
But if you do that year after year after year after year, eventually you get to year 15 or year 20 and your roads are in real trouble and now the complaints are coming in.
Mhm.
So I spent 10 years on the school board in Lincolnville when I lived in Lincolnville, and we had a very new building, 8-ish years when I took over as the chair. And we hired a company to give us a 10-year plan of everything that they thought might need replacing. Things need to be replaced. We all do it in our own homes, right?
Yes.
My roof is gonna need to be replaced in 15 years.
Mhm.
I should be saving X number of dollars per year, and if I'm not, now I need a HELOC to put a new roof on my house. It doesn't make sense, and it
Mhm.
doesn't really make sense to put ourselves in a position where we need to borrow money to fix a building that we could have planned for. We're
Agreed.
behind the 8 ball now, and we need to do that. There's no question that money needs to be borrowed. But can we look at setting ourselves up so that in the future, we know what the plan is, and we know that if you set aside X number of dollars annually in the next 10 years, these things can be done. And all buildings can be looked at. With or without, I mean, there's an enrollment piece that is an unknown, but with or without that, buildings need to be maintained, and these buildings are some of the most expensive investments that the community has, and to not take care of them doesn't make sense.
Thank you.
Um,
I agree with you completely.
but I would. I know it was, 12 years ago that we hired a company to do that, and it was one building, and the cost was still significant to take that envelope look.
Mhm.
It was 6 years ago and it was Siemens and they did that.
No, 6 years ago but I haven't seen anything that says. So I'm saying years ago, when I was on a school board elsewhere, we took this big look and we spent 30 grand. Looking at an envelope look, and they gave us product. They gave us booklets that showed everything that should be done year to year. They gave us great big posters we can use at community events, and I would recommend that you guys do that because. The community needs to buy in because people have to check yes or no on whether or not, and now they're looking at two great big. Numbers back to back on a ballot.
Hmm.
They're looking at a $25 million, and they're looking at a $43 million number,
Mhm.
and those numbers are daunting to people. So the more information that the voters have, not too many voters don't want to educate students. Right? These are our children, our grandchildren, our neighbors' kids. We want to educate students, and we want to do it in a way that is productive for them. We want them to have what they need to have facilities wise.
Hmm.
But if we don't know and we're just told, trust us, those numbers just seem like great big numbers.
Well, Rebecca, I have to say thank you, right? A couple things. One is that I always talk about a triangle. You've got your real estate values on one end of the triangle. You've got your tax bills on the other, and you've got your quality of the schools on the other. And there are marbles on the surface of the triangle. And if any one of those tips too far one way, you have a problem. And the problem now for Madomic is, as you just said, the high school has gotten to the point where it's not a save up and fix it situation. And there is a list of upgrades that Brian has been working on for the last 6 years that is phenomenal. The things that have been done have stopped this from being a $40 million bond. So I think it would be important for us to share with you all the things that have happened over the last 6 years since Siemens did that audit, and we have been doing things. It's just that these things, like dealing with the asbestos around the HVAC and the floors, the piping, and the fact that I had to close school this year because we didn't have running water. It's a huge undertaking to fix this. So it really, and again, I would agree. I had said to the board this last couple of weeks, I strongly recommend that everyone in the community participate in and review a long-term feasibility study for the district. Your enrollments are coming down. You have to do a demographics and physical plant study, because there are school districts that educate the number of students that you have on one campus. You have 7. And the cost, what that does is it means that all the money is going to buildings instead of student learning. At the last place I worked, we saved $8 million a year and we had 90% of students in fourth grade performing on the state math assessment at 90%. When I started, it was 30%. 77% at reading. And I can tell you exactly how we did that. We consolidated all of the elementary schools and used some of the excess teaching staff that you didn't need when you had more efficiency to provide intervention before special ed. This place is awesome. You have amazing staff. You have great communities that love kids. And you really could do something amazing here. And this is just like, all I did was turn the rudder on the ship and say, go this way. And when I hand it off to Dan in July 1st, we've already started talking about these very ideas. I agree completely. There needs to be a long-term plan. Any long-term plan, which is why we focused on this building, because it was kind of the crux of the situation. Miller needs support badly, right? I'm not saying that it came down to, we made a choice for this year, but I would say to focus on Miller next, right? And so my point with all of this is just that as you continue to consider what your options are, you have a very unique situation, which is that your buses drive all the way from Union, Maine to Los Angeles, California every day, the vans and buses. So you got to figure out where, as Brian likes to say, when is the juice not worth the squeeze, or is the juice worth the squeeze to get, if you consolidate some elementary schools, how much do you lose in transportation, or how long would the children be in buses? I need time. I would need time to work with a company and really figure that out. We do have a very detailed report from 4, 5, 6 years ago that is a good starting point. I would recommend getting it updated with your current enrollments. The other thing that I would say is that there are 230 homeschooled students in the district. And I think it would be good to talk to them and find out, what would it take to have you come back to school, if possible. That's a lot of manpower to make all those phone calls and talk to those families, but I'd like to know. I mean, some of them it's vaccination laws. They don't want to do that. Some of them it's moral or religious reasons, which I totally understand and respect. And some of it is just like my best friend from high school who homeschooled his 3 daughters. He just wants them at home with their mother. There's no thing against public school, and they've done great in life. So it's not a disparaging thing. It's just trying to figure out that that's a lot of kids to not have at school. So there's a lot to figure out. The way I came at this was, even if we did all of that, it doesn't change the physical plan of the high school. What does change is whether or not you'd have to expand the shell. And right now, in 2 or 3 years, the high school will be at just about 500 students. So we felt that the physical shell could be utilized effectively without increasing the outside of the building, which is how we got to 24.9 million instead of, whatever it would have been to move. You start moving walls, it's a big deal, right? Y'all know that. You're working on your own house. If you want to add an addition and cut out a wall, it's a lot more money than using the space you have. So I really appreciate this. This is the kind of dialogue that we need. The community needs to hear people talking about what the fears and concerns are. My biggest concern is that people will think that, oh, we just don't trust them to use that kind of money effectively. And that's why we worked so hard to have a very detailed plan as a draft. Now, the exact locations of the rooms and the layout there's a whole architectural rendering that happens if the bond passes. But what we had to do is have a feasibility architectural rendering. Is this enough walls? Is this enough classroom space? Where it ends up in the end is a way bigger discussion.
That was a big sticking point with the $81 million bond. The wording of that bond said $81 million to, including but not limited to, was the phrase
yeah.
that was in there, and it was just so vague. You would do yourself a huge favor if you just list all of the things that need to be done in a single document that you could pass out, have the kids bring it home to the mom and dad, and have the neighbors pass it around. But that sort of open-ended bond question was a huge issue.
I can't see your name, sir. I
Oh,
apologize.
I'm sorry. Mike.
It's okay. Thank you, Mike. So I love a single-sided, single sheet of paper. My mentor, Dr. Ross Green, taught me about that. If you have a single-sided, single sheet of paper, most people can process that. I started working on that today. So I'm drafting something up to show you it. And I really think, and I'd love your feedback, but it seems like the key things are ADA compliance, asbestos abatement, electrical problems, plumbing problems.
I'm a chemist and I thought the chem lab was a,
Yeah, I was just gonna say a science lab built in 1966 that's never been updated or renovated. Are those the right talking points? Those are the things people need to know? Yeah, all right, all right.
They need to hear it, not just from the adults and the teachers and administrators and the parents, they need to hear it from the kids.
Yeah, yeah.
You mentioned that one of the first things you did was to have conversations, and I'm sorry, John, I didn't raise my hand. Bad, bad. You mentioned that one of the first things you did was to have a conversation with students, and they said, we want the building to make us feel as good as our teachers.
Yeah, to look the way the teachers make us feel. Yep,
Whoever those kids are, that's who you need to be talking.
okay.
Because we do have, I don't know what the numbers are, but we have a significant number of families who live in the district who don't have children in the schools either anymore, or we moved here after I moved here after my kids had graduated. from
I can
high
see why. It's beautiful here.
school. It is beautiful here. I'm someone who absolutely will always support public education.
Yep.
100%, whether my kids are in that district or not is irrelevant to me, because it's all about the future. They're the ones who are gonna be taking care of me in 20 to 30 years. So but if you could get some of the students to be involved, not just at the high school level, because you've got a budget to pass too.
Yeah,
And, you know, I
Yeah.
mean, and so, you know, at the middle schools, the elementary schools, you know, anybody who's comfortable writing a letter to the editor in the Lincoln County News, posting it on their Facebook pages, or I guess if their kids are on Facebook, whatever they're on these days. But I mean, just getting that out there, because it's for them.
Making videos, have the students
The
make the
video.
videos.
yeah, I think that's a great idea.
And have the students make the videos.
Yep.
They do a better job at this than anybody.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Have you seen the news at Madomic? It's great. Yeah, yeah, no, Kelly, thank you. I'd been thinking about the high school students making a video. I hadn't thought of the high school students writing letters to the editor. It's a
They
great
do that.
idea.
They've done that for school board issues in the past, and it's incredibly effective.
Thank you.
And you've got some amazing students at the high school. I've heard them speak at meetings, and they are outstanding.
Agreed. Agreed. Oh, Big Ben. you go.
It's all right for me to interject. Ben Stickney, school board member from Waldeboro. I want to speak briefly to what Rebecca was saying about timelines, and I think, and correct me if I'm mistaken, because it's been a long time since we really started discussing dealing with this. But the reason why we're talking about the high school now and not, you know, a year or two later, why we're not doing this in a more organized way, it's not just that the problems with the building are, you know, severe and are inhibiting the ability of the staff and the students to teach and learn. It's that the situation has degraded, for lack of a better word, to a state that the accreditation of the school is actually in jeopardy. And so if we didn't take decisive action immediately, basically, we would leave our teachers, we would leave our students, we would leave the district and the towns up a creek as far as what possibilities were for education and how much it might cost to resolve that problem. So that's the reason why, you know, we're hitting the ground running with the high school this year. And we can, you know, we can deal with the rest of the district in a more organized way, but this is an urgent situation. That's why we're handling it the way we are. Thank you.
May I add one thing for Ben? Ben, thank you. That was, that goes on that single-sided sheet of paper. I keep making a list these last couple of days in all these conversations. No, I'll get it. I have some ideas. Feedback's always welcome once it comes out.
Font size.
Yeah, font size. It'd be like 2.5 the way we're going. No, I also wanted to mention that one of the other things that kind of boiled the pot over, the accreditation was one. The other one was, we were astounded when we saw that the high school moved from, what was it, Brian, 54 to 52 on the list.
Correct.
So the state has building projects. And I think we all kind of felt like, geez, Madomic Valley High School is struggling with its physical plant. Maybe we'll get a grant from the state to help out. And we moved 2 clicks on that. We're at least 25 years out. It isn't, we just know now that we're not going to make it, which is why we focused on this year. Right? That was the big reason.
48.
What's that?
Miller's 48.
Miller's 48. Yep.
So 4 years ago or 3 years ago, I can't remember when the $81 million bond was
suggested, but at that point, if my memory's right, and somebody can correct me if I'm wrong, but the expectation was that about 41 million out of that 81 was gonna go into the high school. But there was still sort of this undercurrent that maybe in another 25 years, when our number was up, that school would still need to be replaced.
Right.
So, what are the thoughts on that? Are we
I think my,
Are we thinking that what we do and what we preemptively do in the next 25 years, keep this a viable building structurally, and therefore whatever updates need to be made along the way can be made within that structure?
yeah,
The question.
I have to say that in my professional opinion, the building will probably get to the point where it needs to be closed before that happens. I've never had to cancel school because we don't have running water. I mean, I don't mean to be alarmist or anything. It's really not good. The building is barely functional. Yeah, and so, no, I know. I'm just trying to figure out how to say this. Like if you, yeah, I know. I'm just trying to, it's hard on the, yeah, it's hard on the mic to like figure out how to articulate this, like without it being inflammatory or intense, right? Like I guess the way I'd have to describe it as an experience. When you walk in the building and the bathrooms smell horrible because there's no ventilation. I mean, to the point where I choked walking into the bathroom. And then you walk into a classroom and there's a daisy chain of electrical power strips on the floor that we're not even, probably shouldn't even say that. Right? But you've got to charge all these devices because kids are working in the 2025 in a building built in 1968. There's no power. Literal electrical power. The airflow is super challenging, but the hardest part is what you can't see, which is the plumbing and the asbestos. You can't see it, but it's there. And so I know that you weren't, I apologize. I didn't mean to come out. I'm just trying to figure out how to say it. It's like, I don't know that the building would make it 25 more years, to be totally sincere.
In the past, it was that we're gonna put money into it and it's going to need to be replaced.
I
My
think that if,
question was
yeah,
really, if we're putting this much money into it now and we're creating a plan.
Yep.
That has a vision to take care of additional issues. Could we anticipate that building is going to still be in service
I would
by the
assume,
time the debt service that we're taking on is paid off?
I would assume that yes, it would be. And that is exactly why I keep saying to people, we're asking for a hand up, not a handout. So a handout to me would be expanding the building, blowing walls out, doing all of these crazy huge renovations when your population is dropping in terms of the number of students. That's illogical to me. But if you don't move whether this bond passes or not, the ADA compliance issues are still there, the electrical issues, all the things we've talked about. The accreditation is still going to be a problem. And so I guess my question is, if we don't pass the bond, what do we do? Because Brian can't keep chasing the building down the drain, trying to fix things to stop the water from draining out. He can't do it faster than the building is going with the budget that he has. So I think that giving it a boost and getting it kind of leveling the playing field will allow you to maintain the building from there, and that it would stay open. This is a fantastic question, by the way, because it really is. The key is to keep the building moving. And then if your population does increase, then you have the conversation about additions and bigger things, which is always fun. Because I'll tell you, cutting things and doing this is not fun, right? It's always more fun when you're adding, right? This is way, way harder. It's painful.
Just to kind of clarify. So right now you said we're at 52 on the list from the state? Yeah. Whatever it is. So this bond's gonna get approved. And we're gonna start this renovation.
Mhm.
Does that put us at a higher level or lower? Does that get?
I'll let Brian speak to that. Yeah.
It has to get done.
So every 7 years, we go through, the Department of Education does an evaluation of schools. On that list, we have had the high school submitted in on to be inspected for a capital construction loan like we had in Madomic Middle School in 2007 and Warren Community School in 2000. Since 2000, when Madomic Valley High School was first submitted, we have come up the list 8 spots. So we are not coming up the list fast at all. So to answer your question, we are, there's no question, unless something significantly changes within the state and the funding sources that they provide, which I don't anticipate that to happen, then there's gonna be some very tough decisions that are gonna have to happen. And I was, in a meeting with folks at the Department of Education, and they said, you know, in all honesty, we're gonna have to start looking at combining high schools in order to be able to build them to the size and to the capacity that they need them. So, and yeah, as far as going back to your question, as far as the high school goes, so obviously there's those ongoing things that you talked about. We still have a roof that eventually, well, right now, there is a section of it. Most of it is in pretty good shape. There is one section that we're probably gonna have to redo here in 6 to 10 years, something in that line. Obviously, we have grounds that need to be maintained, primarily parking lots, things like that, that are gonna have to be done. So yes, there's absolutely other stuff. We were hoping to bring the greenhouse classrooms into the building. We decided that that wasn't gonna happen, so we're gonna be doing some additional modifications and improvements to the greenhouse. So it is an ongoing, and so this, we're not addressing all the issues. And we will absolutely do our best to be able to manage those within the budget that we have. I do have a list of items that we have accomplished in the last 5 or 6 years. And we've done a lot with the budget that we've had. For sure, COVID money helped out a lot, and we leveraged a lot of that to get things done. But we've also managed a lot within my budget, my regular operating budget for the facilities. But Miller is absolutely gonna be a challenge. We've come a long way. Union Elementary School, once we complete the ventilation, that the revolving renovation loan, assuming that the taxpayers approve that loan, that will pretty much check Union off. We will have that building pretty well locked down at that point, as far as no major projects having to be done. Miller, the roof is not bad. We've got one section of roof, again, much like the high school, that we're gonna have to take a look at probably 6 to 10 years. And then you've got Friendship, Prescott, a couple of the smaller schools. The middle school is our newest school, so we're hoping that that's not too awful bad. But again, we've got boilers at the middle school now that are, 20 years old. Ventilation's 20 years old. So yeah, absolutely. There's gonna be that kind of stuff that we're gonna have to do. And it absolutely is a problem. And, we unfortunately are not alone. This is the State Department of Education went out in an assessment. The report was released some time ago. I should have brought it. I apologize. Out of the 600 schools in the state of Maine, 500 of them are gonna need major capital construction in the next 10 years. So it is, the news is not good.
May I add one more? Yeah, I don't know how long you wanna, I mean, I could talk to you all night. I enjoy this. It's so nice to connect with the community because it's so important. I thought it would be good for you to also know that part of why we did talk about moving this to November so that it could kind of have a little more time to breathe, but we need the summertime to do the asbestos abatement work, and the revolving renovation loan is set up to be done for the summer. If we don't do it this summer, it'll be really tight the following summer. So we made the decision that if this is this important, we're gonna, I guess, for lack of a better term, I'll say what snowboarders say, we're gonna go full send and try to get this done so that we can because it makes more sense you get more money out of the more efficiency out of the revolving renovation loan money when you're doing the other project at the same time, because it involves the flooring. So you take out the flooring, there are ways that we can do things, sequence things, but we think that this is the most efficient use of money is to do it now. And also the cost for things just keeps going up, right? So if you wait a year, you're going to pay that percentage more. Might as well get to it, which is back to Rebecca's point that if we'd done it 10 years ago, it would have been a lot cheaper, right? I don't think you exactly said that, but that was kind of implied in the message. And certainly I feel that way. The other thing is it's important to recognize that the building was not built to accommodate the IDEA law. That is something that is easily overlooked. The Individuals with Disabilities Education Act requires us to provide programming and services for students with special needs, which the building just didn't even exist when the building was built. So it's not laid out for that. And that is a significant problem that we face because we have 25% of our students have needs.
Say one more thing.
Yeah.
All these details are really, really great, but it's just reminding me again to say that the state of a school building is a symbol of the state of the larger feeling of the community. The question is why the community hasn't invested in the building over time.
I know.
So all these details are really necessary to get out there, but if that question is never addressed, beginning now, then
Mhm.
you're just gonna find yourself back here again.
Yeah.
The school, students included, need to be more integrated into the community. You need to find more ways to get students out into the community, doing community service,
Connecting.
interfacing with people,
Mhm.
speaking out not just about this issue, but about living in the world.
Mhm.
That is where successful education happens. It's a trust, this is a trust issue. People just don't trust you because they don't know you.
Yep. And I'm sorry, I love these 5 communities and I agree with everything that you've said, Michael, and I will share that with the new superintendent. That feedback is powerful. But I also encourage you to reach out to Dan and talk with him. He needs to know that, right? And I'd love, if any of you want to talk to me between now and June 9th, like give me ideas, just call me, okay? Like tonight was a chance for me to meet all of you. I'm happy to have lunch. I'm happy to come meet with people. You can come by the office, whatever it takes.
Yeah, you don't know who I am, but I'm the state rep for this area.
Oh.
Funded mandates are really big,
Oh,
and that's what crushes these communities.
it is.
And having politicians doing that really sucks. It really does, because they just think money comes out of thin air.
Can I come over there and fist bump you, or is that like not appropriate? I don't know. Thank you.
Reality.
It is reality.
Those unfunded mandates just crush.
I've been living in it for 25 years, sir, and it is a
That's
huge
another
problem.
return to the gut, so I know about-
Oh, I'm so glad you're doing that. And
Want me more?
oh, you finally done? Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, thank you for your service, though.
Dan's had his hand up now.
We have information to hand out. Do you want us to hand it out now or afterwards or?
We hand it out now. You got it.
Okay. Brian, did you have some of the?
John, you got something?
Yeah, while you're handing out, this is kind of along Michael's line of thought is, you know, I've been in the school and it's absolutely I can't believe how we're treating the children of our community. I mean, you walk in, the first thing you see is, don't drink this water, don't use this fountain, you know, and everywhere you go. And so, you know, to Michael's point, you know, he's got a deeper, more meaningful point, but for the immediate, I would be getting the word out, like, you know, take a picture of that, okay, and put it in the paper or post it, you know, all of these.
Like snapshots.
Yeah, just, hey, this is my day as a high school student.
Yep.
You know, whatever, this is my day at, you know, whatever, because I think that to connect, you know, the way the community treats its children is very important, thank you. And to get that out, that we're not doing a very good job of.
Thank you. I agree completely. The idea of the kids making videos, I worked on a big building project in my previous job, and one of the ways that we got it done was to have snapshots. So people went into this old building and took pictures of it. It's an 1883 Gothic building that hadn't sold for 15 years. And we were able to sell it because we showed people the condition it was in at that moment, because they all remembered it when they went to school there 30 years before. So I think that connection is real.
Yeah, and I think there's a deep connection here. You know, there's a lot of folks that went to the Navajo Valley, you know, X number of years ago. And would be pretty shocked if they saw the condition of it.
Yep.
But you know, I don't, you know, the other thing is having kids involved in the community. You know, some type of public service requirement to their adjunct to their education is really important because it does create connection.
So that's not happening right now, Michael. You were saying that
I don't know.
yeah, I haven't heard of that either. So that's something I'll be looking into. I think,
Seems like an obvious thing to me.
yeah, public service and connection is critical.
Well, so, you know, a lot of schools have a service requirement as an element of graduation.
That's really helpful feedback. Thank you.
Okay, I got 2 things.
Mhm.
The first one is, I did watch the improvements that were done, septic system, those sorts of things that were done. And I feel like Brian took a pot that was this big and somehow made it this big. So I want to give credit where that's due, that he somehow got far more done than I would have anticipated you could get done with that pot of money.
You got $10 million worth of work.
Right, like just
One-
amazing, right? And so keep doing that. You know, I know there are constraints with who you can hire to work at the school, and now we're talking about who needs to be bonded and blah, 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 and all those things inflate the price, but anytime you can work your magic, keep working your magic. And then my second thing came because somebody handed me this lovely piece of paper. This is the current increase on the current budget, yes, not the bond. Sorry,
That only has the first payment of the bond, which only is the interest.
okay.
To further clarify one of the comments that you made, one of the other reasons we're going out for the bond in June and not November is the bond bank only issues money in November. So if we wait to go to the polls in November, we can't get money from the bond bank until May, which then pushes the summer. We miss a whole summer. So we would have to take the asbestos up this year in order to stay within the constraints of the revolving renovation loan timeline. And then we'd have children have concrete flooring that doesn't have tile and whatnot, while we wait a whole nother year before we can take money from the main bond bank. It's just kind of the timeline kind of didn't work out really well for us. So that has about $460,000 interest only.
Which will increase to like 2 million.
It'll be 2.1 the first year and goes down around 2 million the second, and then drops under 2 million in the third year. At the current interest rate that I asked for about 2 months ago. So as soon as it goes in, I'll get whatever the interest rate is. Could be higher or lower than when I first asked for it. Pardon?
Identify yourself.
Oh, sorry, I'm Karen Pike, the business manager at RSU 40. All right, I assume people see me on YouTube.
Any other last questions?
I have one more thing that Rick just, I think that before you move forward, we had a great event this fall. Like, I don't know if you noticed on the video, but I don't normally wear an electric vest and a plaid shirt when I'm shooting a video. But we were fixing the roof on the seed building that day, and I forgot that there was a video shoot. So I got yanked off the roof into the building to shoot a video. So I apologize for representing your district in such atrocious clothing. But I did think that it's important to note that that kind of work and that kind of volunteering is really important to capitalize on. We have a lot of folks in these communities that are hardworking, smart, skilled folks. That was a $25,000 project. We got it done for $5,000 with volunteers. And I could not believe the state of that building when I walked in it the first time. There was water running down the walls. The ceiling tiles were all pulled down, insulation hanging out. There was an electrical wire hanging down the wall, capped on one side, with water running down the wall into the floor. I was appalled. But we didn't spend money to do it. And I'm a Mainer, right? I'm from Millinocket. You want to build a camp? Everyone shows up on the weekend and we build a camp. That's how we did it when I grew up as a boy. And there's nothing wrong with some of that going on here too. The problem is that with the high school, some of the painting or things like that can get done with volunteers, but some of this work is really real structural work. And it has to be done by bonded contractors that get things done. But I just encourage everyone to continue to capitalize on that. That's my favorite day of work in my whole career, was that day that we fixed that roof, right? The kids were out there videotaping us with the drone. They were walking around the building all excited. When I walked through the building to shoot the video, people were high-fiving me and giving me fist bumps. I mean, as a superintendent, that does not happen, right? I mean, everyone forgot that when I made the budget, but that's okay. I'll take my whipping too. But I just want you all to know that, like, there is a really connected community here, and it did not take long for us to get people together to do that. So I just want to remind everyone that sense of communal involvement is really important. And you can get a lot done for way less money, right? When you got a lot of people chipping in a little bit, it makes a big difference. So thank you for having us tonight. We're so grateful to be here. And if anyone wants to come see me or talk to me, just call who I lovingly call the Big, Karen Overlock. She will point you right to me, or email me. I'll set up a time to talk. Okay.
I have something totally not related to the building, but just a comment, and this is not as the town manager, this is the grandmother of 2 children in Miller. Family night was last night. That was great. It's great when, you know, you get to go out and see what your grandkids are doing and they got to do their scholastic thing and. But I just want to say, I have a kindergartner and a second grader who absolutely adore their school. And I'm not talking about the physical building, I'm talking about the people inside of it. And I just, we've spent a lot of time talking about the building, but I just want to say the people that are entrusted with my grandkids are amazing. And that just speaks volumes. And I'm sure that's like that in all our schools, but I know this is about the physical part, but the actual people who are doing the work in these buildings are amazing humans. And that's all I wanted to say.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I just, you're all captive here, so you got to all hear it.
I'll just make a last comment, if that's okay, other than that. Now. I can vaguely remember when the school was built and opened up. I'm aging myself, I know. My dad was a high school teacher at Waldorf High School, then he transferred out there. I was just talking to him last night about the building of that, when they built that building, and they had electric heaters. They don't have any insulation in the ceilings.
Yeah.
The only benefit to that was they didn't have to have anyone on the roof shoveling in the wintertime, because it melted. That school means a lot to the community, a lot to us, and we certainly, I know me personally, I'm gonna support it. And I'm gonna get the word out there because we need to have a high school that's functional. If that high school isn't shut down, what do we do with our kids? How much is that gonna cost?
10 million a year,
Least.
at least, the tuition out kids.
Not to mention, the community members are gonna lose because they have to move because they're faculty members. It's an asset,
And when did we graduate from there, John?
long time ago. That's right, dancing, they was in there too.
Are you taking a break now?
My mother was in the first class to graduate from Dominic.
Oh, cool. Yeah. I was with Andrew Dolph yesterday and
Oh,
he was
yeah.
telling me some good stories
Yeah.
about his dad in
And
high
I had
school.
John's dad as a homeroom teacher.
Is, the board, can you folks have any questions for us? I know you guys are still working on your operating budget.
Yeah, we have,
We've been watching on a regular basis.
yeah, if the next board meeting will be voting on the budget,
That's next Thursday, correct?
the
The
second,
second of
yes.
April, yeah.
Okay, we'll see you then.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah, because yes, the budget committee is the whole board.
Right. Right.
But in the budget committee, it's just one vote, you know. But when it comes to board, it's the weighted vote, so things could change.
What's the date of the public meeting where the public will vote?
May 5th, district budget meeting.
And where will that be?
The auditorium at the high school.
Please show up. We don't get a huge turnout, I hear.
No, it's like if we get 40 people.
No,
Yeah, it's not just us. For sure.
We had 100 and something last year.
I'll do.
Yeah, we were popular last year.
All right, folks, I want to thank. It was good.
Yes, thank you all.
Anytime.
Very much.
Happy to help. We'll take a 10-minute break and We missed it.
I think John.
We have a quorum.
There you go. My seat.
There he is. Okay, I'll call the meeting back into order. Are we back on?
Are we on, Julie?
Yeah, you're on.
Okay, moving right along, jump into 4.2. Town manager has been, like he promised us, information regarding the police information, the fire.
So I'm still waiting on, one of the banks that we contacted to give us a price. But so far, we did have one other bank turn in a price. But it was no more than 5 years and it was a 5.88% interest rate, so. That probably was not going to be something that we would like to do. But so far, the lease purchase looks like the way to go. They at first bid a 1-year delay, a 2-year delay, so I asked for a no delay. So our first payment would be in 2026, July 1st. So that would be your first option. Would we start paying right away? So we would borrow July 1st, 2026. So if you were to do option number 1, obviously, it would, be the least amount of interest you're paying. The 10-year will give you more time. I know it's more money and interest, but it will give you more time to pay it off.
When did the select board vote on this? Would you vote on it tonight, or would you do it at the next select board meeting?
They would do it some point before July 1st. And I do think that now that I'm looking at this, that I'm not sure I think there's an error in the second option 2. I think those APRs are a little higher than that because it looks like it just repeats from option 1. So,
Yeah.
I will redo that. I'm not sure if that's the same thing I sent you in your emails, but.
With these numbers, does Chief, is he still comfortable with what he had submitted for the capital?
He is away at the moment. I have not had that conversation.
Same.
I think we're voting the same as in the email. Yeah.
That was at the same, yeah, so I'll have to change that, but the number and the principal and the interest. I mean, it's really up to, it's up to the select board and you, if you're gonna make the recommendation, if we wanna put. Technically, we have that $101,000 already saved
Yeah, we have.
for that first payment. But it could potentially change. That would become part of the operating budget, that annual payment. It wouldn't be in your capital budget then. You know what I'm saying?
It'll be debt service.
It would be debt service.
Right.
What's the delivery time on the
He said 3 years.
3 to 4 years.
3 to 4 years. So we could also keep saving the $75,000 each year.
Well, I wonder if we can commit to the plan and not pay? Well, they can, not pay to get delivery, but they want deposit.
Well, if you want to get the interest rate,
Yeah, if you want to commit to it.
you want to commit to the interest rate, you want to pay, you're gonna pay.
And if some way you move,
We would have to structure it so that if there was some catastrophe, that we would get our money back.
and also if you were to find some other better financing down the road.
Well, you could,
Like we did with the ladder.
right, but we just have to make sure that the years, we don't want to cross years in a bad way. So yes, we have to just be mindful that we might have to wait a few months if we get a better interest rate, you might have to wait to pay it off. You just can't violate those.
Well,
So that actually was one of my questions is this? How locked in are we with the terms of the lease purchase?
You'd be locked in once you sign.
So we could or couldn't arrange to refinance down the road.
You could refinance, but I'm saying, once you sign, you're locked in. It won't go up. It's not gonna go up.
My other question was, I don't remember, 2 or 3 years ago that when this first was seriously discussed, the truck, deciding on what the truck actually was gonna be, whether a commercial chassis or built to order chassis. Or what the specific truck was, model or the capacities were gonna be, functions. And I think there was gonna be a committee that was formed to look at that. Did that happen, or-
That would be the committee that was before you. The other night.
yeah, the truck committee for the fire department.
Oh, okay, I thought it was gonna be like select people. But I didn't hear anything about it after that, so.
No,
So-
they made the distinction. At this last meeting, that this would replace engine 1 and engine 3.
Can I ask you a question about that? What is the logic behind replacing two trucks with one? I wasn't here, I mean, why would we get rid of engine 1? Which we would probably only get about $30,000 for if we were lucky. When it's a functional truck.
Because the fire department, what I understand, is that they feel that they could still complete their task and mission with one less truck. And then they could eventually get a smaller vehicle, like a 4-door utility vehicle to take its place.
But why not hold on to it and have it? I mean, it's not costing us anything.
I don't think it was necessarily, I guess you could have the conversation about keeping one. We're not going to replace one.
Cause I even asked the question, like, you got 3 in 1. If he has a chance to get rid of engine 3 right now, which is the 1990,
Right.
would you do it? Yes. he said.
Yes, I would go along with that.
And then the other one, that one would phase out. So when that goes away, we're not gonna replace it at this point in time.
Okay, but, so, what is the time frame for engine 1 disappearing?
Have to look on the sheet. I don't know if I have it with me. Well, when it's pretty much no good anymore, when it's out of service.
We're not going to be saving or replacing engine 1. So that one engine replaces one in
So
the
when
new
they-
engine.
I know.
It's still gonna maintain engine 1 to the point where it.
Well, the maintenance on engine 1 is negative.
Right. It's little to none.
Yeah.
But once that engine becomes not serviceable, it will not be replaced.
That makes sense, but that could be 10 years. down
It
the
could
road.
be, it very well. could be.
All right, that's what I'm trying to
It's- it's-
find out. What is the time frame for replacing? engine
Yeah,
one?
I don't have. an
Yeah,
answer.
it's not like when
It's not imminent.
the new engine comes, those two are gonna go away to that like that. No.
No, okay, that was what I was
Yeah.
trying to find out, because it doesn't make any sense to get rid of a perfectly.
No,
good fire
no,
truck
no.
When you're not gonna get anything for it. I mean, if we could get $500,000 for it, yeah, just get rid of it, but we're not. We get like 25, 30,000 for it. We're lucky.
We even had that discussion, you weren't here about engine 3, because engine 3 is used a lot to clean culverts. I mean, I know that's silly, but
Send it up to the depot
But
on Barn and let them clean the culverts.
it's better than taking out $1 million fire truck to do that, so.
Sure is.
And Paul had also talked about possibly rebuilding engine 1.
Yeah, I have I did a lot of research.
There was a thought on that, but.
Yeah.
Any other questions on the lease? Fire department lease information? Okay, we'll move on to page. Page 40. No, page 13. Talk about bringing back the municipal buildings. Look at the numbers.
So I would leave them as they are. Because I don't have a good bid number for you for fuel. And depending on the day you look at the TV.
Crystal ball.
Oh, I should have brought it out. I didn't bring it out. I'm not even sure that you're. I'm not even sure that my Skippy new crystal ball would be able to fix that. So I mean, my recommendation would be to leave it as it.
I will move for the select board. $43,760 for the municipal building.
Second.
Discussion on that. Hearing none, all in favor from the select board? 5-0.
Okay, we got $42,760 for the municipal building. Motion?
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Ben.
Second.
Thank you.
Michael.
Any other discussion? All those in favor? Thank you, Scott. 1, 2, 3, 6, 7, 8, 9. Any opposed?
Move on to page 47. Down the River Community Park.
This is a request for $2,500 for land maintenance. The Public Works Department will be doing some significant work there spring. And they will probably need some bit funding to do that. So they have funding from last year that they haven't spent yet because they knew that was coming. And I'm sure every year in the spring there'll be some type of maintenance. But they're going to go in there and do some work on the slab that's existing at the former site on Friendship Street and level it off a little bit because there is a desire from the Madomic River Community Park Committee to start having some type of events there so that people are building excitement about the park. And that would require just some work to be done to that slab to make it safer for people.
Does the mowing?
Back in 25, we put in 8750. Is that still in that account?
No, because your pollution control insurance, we're done with that requirement. So
Okay, I just see it didn't get spent, so I
it did
just
not
wanted to
get
ask.
spent.
That's why I asked you to stay late.
If it doesn't get spent, when does it come? Okay.
I didn't know if it was a special account that stayed with that project.
That was not for anything that existed prior, it's for anything that may happen, if that was for anything that may happen in the future. We hit that so many year mark. If we do say, put up something that has a building that has fuel oil or some type of other product like that, we should look at getting another type of insurance, but
Or would that be covered in regular?
that it could be, but that was the recommendation when we first purchased it, is we don't know what we don't know, but we're past that time limit now, so we are.
Where does the money for mowing for that property come from? I got amount of
We,
recreation,
this
the mowing.
Public Works Department mows.
Yeah, but where does that come from? Well, we mowed there last year, but we didn't say we didn't spend anything last year.
Well, we don't typically charge that to any of the parks that, or any of the buildings that we ourselves, so like Public Works doesn't charge the municipal building. Or any of the.
Town-owned, yeah. any of the
Town-owned
town-owned.
property.
So they don't separate, we don't know how much it actually costs to mow there.
We could go back and look at their time sheet.
I don't want to do the same thing we did with the fuel oil, but.
Well,
We just,
no, I mean, it's on their time sheets, but we don't track it in the budget.
think-
last year we did mow it, some people, I think most volunteered to mow a little bit around and did some weed whacking, so.
We don't track that.
I think it's a good idea to reserve some money to do that work. It's used for parking right now. We're gonna be staging events there. Just the parking areas. I almost ran over a cobble and I have a truck, but somebody who's in on the Fit is gonna have damage to their vehicle if they try to park there. So cleaning up that area, I think is a really good idea. And Waldeboro Day is going to use that as a remote parking area.
I'll move the select board $2,500 from down to the community park. You seconded, anyone second?
So in the capital budget is the line 162 there, community center park, is that for the same area?
Yes.
And that, my memory's a little hazy, but that was gonna cover some of the bill and raising.
So that's for some of the actual construction that will occur there.
Okay.
And that's our match for the grant. That we received.
Okay.
You're welcome.
Any more discussion? All in favor from the select board? 5-0.
2,500 for the economic urban community park. We have a motion.
So moving.
Anyone want a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you. Any discussion? All those in favor? 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9. Thank you.
Moving on to page 50. Planning and development.
This department consists of our code enforcement officer. So that's payroll compensation. That's the title that would be under that. We also, if you'll notice, the other large item that had an increase was professional services. Oh, I'm sorry, I skipped over one. Health insurance and group life and retirement increase this year. We know our code enforcement officer is retiring July 1st, so we're going to have to anticipate. He did not participate in our retirement plan, but another person may, who's coming in behind them. So we incorporated all of those changes in the employee benefits tab. And then the next increase you'll see is in professional services. And that includes our members, our planner that we get through Mid-Coast Council of Governments. They are a part-time planner through a professional contract, and I will tell you that our planner is invaluable to the grants that we receive, to get the grants that we receive.
Change the name.
They did. It used to be McCann and now it's McCog.
Yeah.
And that also gives us some flexibility if we ever wanted to have an in-house planner again. So there's flexibility there in those planning services, in those amounts.
Your salary line is significantly above what you're advertising that position for?
Because if you're not certified and we have to train you,
That's what you're advertising for, somebody who's not certified.
well, we're advertising for a range, and
Okay.
that was a starting salary. So
Okay.
it would be dependent upon their qualifications. If somebody's fully certified with the plumbing certs and everything, but if we have to train them up.
Yep.
So that was the starting salary versus
Okay.
trained and untrained. So far, we have some applicants, we're gonna start that process.
We have a motion from the select board.
So moved 183,585.
Second.
586, right?
585.
Okay, I'm sorry, on the sheet it says.
The sheet says 6.
Yeah.
The book is 585. Sometimes there's rounding issues between them.
So it should be a 6 or 5.
5.
You seconded it? Moving seconded for 183,586 for
85.
585.
85. I vote. Planning and development. Any more discussion?
And just to clarify, this is for 2 employees, well, one's employee and one's a company.
Right.
Okay.
So
And
just
they're
to clarify, it's
departments.
not going just to one person.
And the
Right.
two departments.
Right.
And that includes like all your planning board notifications and.
The bargain. For the grant money. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Bargain.
All in favor of the select board? 5-0.
183, 585. Remember, we have a motion for that.
On the job.
Any discussion?
I actually have a question. When does it make sense to invest in another planner or more time for that planner? Because the payout of the what do you call them? Grants is so high. I mean, you know, there's so much that could happen in a town. Conrad and I talk about this because he's serving on the Economic Development Committee and he's
Great
privy.
minds think alike, Mike.
He's privy to these conversations, and we were just at home and we're like, there's a whole list of things we could do, but Kate only has this many hours in the day. If someone was able to do all these things, you could receive 5 times what we're getting. And all these towns that have full-time planners are so far ahead of us in strategic thinking of development that actually attracts families to move here, right? So I'm not saying we should have that conversation now, but at some point, that seems to be a real, turning
Mine
point,
tells
would be a
me
real turning point.
We're preaching to the choir here.
Well, okay, I'm just putting it on the record.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I think it's a great idea.
So is that something that would be
I think
like,
it's a great idea.
great idea.
Don't you think it's a great
think
idea,
it's
select
good.
board?
What an amazing, great idea.
What amazing, great idea. There's some inside
are you,
story.
are you asking something from me? I hope not, because okay.
It's a brilliant idea.
We would love it.
The conversation been.
We've
Okay,
been having that conversation.
Great. great, thank you.
Yeah. No, it's a good idea.
Thank you.
It's a great idea.
Michael.
Great idea.
It's my one comment, not about emotion, so I'm happy that you all
Atta
are
boy.
already working. I was great. Yeah, I'm in the. I'm in the room where it happens, okay?
Think alike.
Any other great minds? We vote on that? No.
Oh, yes, no.
You guys voted. We still.
Yeah, we're good.
Pleasure
I'm good.
here. Any other? Are you waggling your pencil for attention down there? or-
No, I'm just seeing how long I can do it before I drop it.
Oh, we're not gonna wait around.
He's gonna try to stay awake carefully. Let you
Okay, how about a vote? All those in favor? 7, 8, 9, thank you.
Now can we get a pool going on how long she's gonna be able to do them?
It depends on how long it is.
Okay,
and how
we'll move
many-
on to page 56.
I'll make a motion to approve $142,348.
Second.
Move in second to 143,348 for debt service. And
So you are aware that first 2026 payment we would take out of what we have saved for the fire truck if they decide to go on the lease purchase route.
In the capital.
it would come out of the capital.
Right, it would not come out of this debt service payment
Until next year.
till
Till
next
next year.
year.
Correct.
Till 2027.
Rating will be taken care of next year.
Yes. Whatever Peg says in there.
The garage is paid for.
The garage has been paid for a couple of years.
Number one.
We burned more.
I wasn't here for that.
Okay, it's been moving second for 143,348 for debt services. All in favor of the select board? 5-0.
143, 348. Motion,
So moved.
any seconds?
Second.
Thanks, John. More discussion? All those in favor? Scott, are you in favor of debt service? Okay. Not entertaining you enough to keep you awake, huh?
Wait.
So sorry, I wasn't counting. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
Now we'll get a chance to move back on to capital. Oh, I skipped over revenue, didn't I?
We did revenue and then Daryl came and
Oh, that's right.
we had an adjustment to one of them, so it went down very slightly. You can see it on your yellow sheet.
New number would be 55551 405.
Yes.
Oh, I would move to the select board for the conversation of $5,551,405.
Second.
I'm sorry, what was the number you said?
$5,551,405.
Total is on your yellow sheet on the revenue section.
Yeah. Any discussion for the select board? Or anyone? All in favor? Opposed?
I'm in favor.
Okay,
It's a late bloomer.
5-0.
I don't want to take the money.
Yeah.
All right, you got $5,551,405. Total revenue. Motion for that. So moved. You. Seconded. Thank you, Brendan. Any discussion? All those in favor? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Opposed? 1. Thank you.
Now we can go to the big sheet.
Do you have any questions?
The only thing we're looking at this is the budget, okay? That what, the reason why we done that, I guess.
We just didn't vote on it.
We didn't vote on it.
We-
Right, but I mean, we was going to look, what we're gonna talk about, right? Whether we need to add more money for it. Is that the only?
Yeah, I would just take it out of the reserve we have. If you wanted to increase what you're saving towards, we're going to have at least 3, maybe 4 more budget cycles.
Yeah, but we're still not to be making yearly payments on it too.
Right.
So
But-
I mean,
But you're correct. You're going to have that potential 100, and I'm assuming you'll go with the 10 years.
that's why I was
Yeah.
asking is because it's easier to make it another 26,000
Right.
versus another 105,000.
But that next year's budget, you may want to make it 100, because you're gonna put that over, that's gonna be in the operating budget, that payment.
Debt service.
Yeah, debt service.
Yep. Which is fine, I just,
Right.
I wanna make sure we get enough here. If we go with the 10-year, which I assume we probably will.
But you're gonna have that will come, that'll go away in capital unless you wanna save. Cause we're only, we could, if we say, hey, we're going to only borrow so I guess you could still save that 75, or you could save $100,000 each, you're gonna be
That's what I was thinking.
$300,000, and then you could borrow less than the 819, 816.
Right, what I'm thinking is if we get it up to 100,000 is, we're gonna have 490,000 in there. We got 4 years of borrowed time, if we make $101,000 a year, and we get 4 years of.
And that
potential
101 would
raises.
be cheaper.
Right,
So you're suggesting increasing line number 43 from
Yes.
75,000 to 100?
at least 100, yes.
And would that be every year out? I mean, I
I
know we
would
only
think
vote
so,
on-
yeah, because that would cover us as far as, it's 101. Yeah, it's 101,000, it's almost 102,000, so. I mean, if you wanted to go with 102,000, I mean. That's where I was looking at it. Is we're ahead of the game right now, we don't want to go behind by putting less money in there if we have to. I mean, it's only another 27,000, it sounds like, it doesn't sound like a lot, but it would save us in the long run.
Well, we had the community center part from 160,000 to 110.
Right.
Right, and we, Peg had said we could get rid of the unemployment compensation reserve for the 5, so that's already 115,000 less. The number that we had from the last time was 1.337385. 1,337,385.
Right.
And you're proposing that we put 25,000 back into it, 20,000?
Probably 27.
Put that difference back towards fire.
Yeah.
Right,
yeah,
that's what I mean. Yep,
Right.
That's exactly
okay,
what I'm talking.
Okay,
So it comes out.
You making that a motion?
Yes, I will. I'll make that motion, make it 102,000. What our truck payment's gonna be.
and this is for line 40, but it could potentially make your truck payment less.
That's
Right.
fine.
Right.
I mean, we could look at
Okay.
that in 4 or 5 years. When we get to the, where we actually get to the delivery of the truck.
Well, that,
So if you're gonna do that,
that just.
so, hold on,
How,
I'm
how
doing
do
the
we, how do
math.
we respond to the voters that say, you know, we're gonna drop $500,000 on a truck and we're not gonna get it for 3 years? And then we're gonna make payments on it afterwards. That just
No,
sounds,
you're
that
making
sounds so
payments
screwed.
now. We're gonna start making.
We're gonna be making payments on something that we don't have yet. That's the point that the voters are gonna look at us like, what are you nuts?
Because it takes 3 years, 3 to 4
It
years.
takes 3 years to
make it,
build,
right.
but you know, when
But
you
I
go to a
think-
car dealership, you know, you,
But you had to put a deposit down, you typically, if you have a truck, a car bill.
if you're having it built, yeah, but if you're
And that's
just
what we-
buying something off the lot, you go in with.
Right, but we're having this truck bill.
I don't know, it just seems.
I think that the explanation for that is we can save money by doing it that way.
The total purchase is lower, the cost.
In total cost, we're saving money,
So when does the first check get written to?
say July 1st of
July
2026.
Okay, so we'll put whatever, 500,000 down.
No.
for it.
No. No, it's 102,000, right?
We would give them $102,000. And anything else we wanted as a down payment, because that would lessen. I would make that payment as big as you could that first,
Yeah.
because then you don't have to borrow as much money.
Yeah, and certainly we got that
But if you're going,
289,000
right,
in there
but
now.
we don't have to pay them a final amount, so you could still pay that $102,000 for as much as we want to get what we're, that number down.
The principal down, yes.
So we could even say, if we know we're not getting it till, even if we wanted to be conservative, we're not gonna get it till 2029. That gives us we could save another $204,000, so we wouldn't be borrowing 819. We'd be borrowing, 619.
Well, I'm actually in favor of that, but it's just, people are gonna say, you
did what?
did what?
Right.
It's either, you're doing it either way. You're either saving it, not spending it, or spending it.
I know it, I'm not objecting to this at all,
But it also,
people are gonna look at us like we're crazy.
Well, it's capital or and you're right, Mike, a lot of people don't understand
Yeah.
what capital is. Capital investments, you're saving money for the future, similar to the conversation we had in the first hour of our meeting today. The reason of all that, the capital needs to be saved to do these projects.
but in a way, it's the best thing we could do because it represents how agile we are. Number one, because I say that all the time, we have to be agile and be able to pivot, and it makes Val down there happy because it's like this conversation we've had since we've been here. Do we borrow or do we save? And it's a great combination of both.
However, it sounds like what you're proposing, and maybe I'm not seeing this right. You're proposing that we fund the capital account and fund the debt service going forward for the next 5 years or so. So we're
No.
paying double on this?
No.
I don't understand. You do it.
Next year, it would be going into debt service, so we'll have to fund the debt service only.
But we wouldn't have anything in the
Right.
capital.
But
Right.
technically you could. You could.
Good.
And that would shorten our.
So if you're gonna tell me tonight or Monday night that you wanna make this 102 go for the next. Okay, tonight, I'm just trying to be optimistic. 102,000 next year and the following year, which gives me another $204,000. Then I can say, okay, what's my payment? Because you're gonna be saving that money. I can reduce the amount of what we're borrowing, which technically makes our debt service payment less next year.
Yeah, I get that.
But now we're still saving in 2028 and 2029. And we're not paying interest on that money because we don't owe that money till the truck is done.
I thought we were starting to make payments. We're paying the down payment on July 1st if this.
You could, I would say you would pay the down payment and your first payment. So that's all gonna come out of the,
Out of the capital reserve.
correct.
Okay, so next year, we're going to pay out of debt service.
Correct.
It just won't go in capital.
But you
Right.
could,
Put money into capital.
you could also put
Well,
money into capital knowing that you're saving that money, but you're going to borrow you're going to borrow less money. Knowing that you're gonna have 2 years where when it comes, the truck comes due to pay. Like, you could pay technically that,
You could pay
Extra.
more than your debt service by putting more into capital.
Right.
And taking
Right,
it back out,
but
and putting it
that-
toward your principal before the truck's delivered.
correct.
And we're having to raise more. in
You're
taxes.
you're double dipping right there.
Right, so if that's the goal, then perhaps we should just finance it for a shorter term and get a better interest rate.
That's totally up to you guys.
That doing it this way with adding capital gives us more flexibility. If we have a bad year, we don't have to put the money in the capital
Right.
to pay it off early, but. So I can go for that. I'm just trying to understand what the mechanics were that you were proposing.
Ruben?
I'm better at saying it than explaining it.
You're better at saying it than explaining it?
Yeah.
He's better at making the proposal.
Yes.
Than explaining why.
And
he made the
implementing it.
proposal.
It works in my head, I just can't seem to get it out of my head. Yeah, I agree that putting more money to get ahead of it, that gives us flexibility down the road, and then if we could pay it off early, that's great.
I don't wanna look at it like you're not double dipping it,
And that's not what I was.
because you would be saving that money, plus you're earning interest on that money.
Yeah,
It's,
I can have it to use if that looks like a good idea.
I mean, I guess I did not think that 75,000 would go away. Because I just thought it would be moved to a different line item and we would start saving for the next piece of apparatus, so you could look at it like that, it's there if we need it, and if we don't. I don't think we're gonna make a decision tonight on whether it's a lease purchase, that's a select board decision, you guys can certainly say what you think, and I'm sure there'll be more meetings about this. For sure,
direction though.
but it gives you a direction, it just gave you something, an idea of what those payments would look like.
Ruben?
These are great points. I want to second Abden's motion.
What was the figure that you were proposing there, Matthew?
102 versus 75.
So that would make the total fire equipment reserve $129,500.
And what would that make our total?
Total would be $1,364,385.
You said, I'm sorry, 1,364,385.
Yep, $1,364,385.
So it's still less than we usually thought.
Well, yeah, because we cut 50,000. Well, who's gonna tell the fire chief that we just gave him more money than we asked for?
We'll find out.
That'd be good news to deliver.
So motion is made and seconded for, I guess, any other capital questions we have to discuss
Are you gonna vote on that piece?
on that particular one of the whole thing?
His motion was just that
Just
particular.
the-
It hasn't been voted on, so.
We gotta vote on just the fire first.
We haven't.
No, we vote on the whole thing.
Yeah, we haven't just voted on
We vote on the whole thing.
Oh, I,
That's what-
you want me to take the
saying
motion
that
back? Is that smoother?
His
So with
motion,
With that, with your motion, Abden, it gives you, tell me if I'm wrong. 1,336,385 for the capital.
Is it 336?
It's 364.
That's what you just said.
Hold on.
364.
1364385.
Yes, that's my motion
That's my second.
for capital.
Here goes my pencil.
Any more discussion?
So can we get a picture of what the final tax number will be at this point?
Yeah, we've got to vote on this one first.
Well, this would affect that. So if we vote this through, how does that affect the bottom line?
We're at 5.62% more than last year.
With this change.
Change. Well, not from last year, from where we were in the beginning.
Because at the end of the last meeting, we were below 5%. Adding $27,000 into it.
4.76. It should be less.
27,000 went up almost 1%.
Yeah.
It should be less now.
562.
I just remember Abden was really happy for above 5%, and it was like this.
We were at 4.76 and now we should be less. Should have gone down.
All right, hold on, let me recheck.
That wouldn't be gone down, it might have gone up just a whisker.
No, we're not down.
How would it go down if you added something?
It would.
Right.
Yeah, we added,
It would go down from the number she just gave us.
I had updated the changes along the way, so you could see them each time. I gave you one of these.
Yeah.
So the only other change that we had was the unemployment we took out. And the reduction that you talked about earlier for the rec park. So then we just increased it by the 27,000.
And that's where you got the 5.
And yes, and that's where it,
So we were at 4.76 coming into this, and what did you say with this, adding the $27,000 into the capital puts us at?
5.62.
That just seems like a high percentage. No, because if you look at
So
what we're.
86%, 8.86%.
From the 20.
Last year, it's 5.62% more than last year.
For the total town budget or for the capital?
Total, the total.
That's where I'm kind of getting stuck, because it was 4.76% higher than last year. We just discussed the capital. We added $27,000 back into the capital and it went up almost a full percentage point. I do not do math, so
But
if
how
you
did
do, so.
How
that's
do we
what-
add 27? How do we add to the capital? We took away from the capital.
No.
Not tonight.
We made those other changes before.
Oh, you've already put the change.
already-
Oh,
Yeah, yes.
oh, okay,
Yeah.
gotcha.
Is that
So
where
that's where
that's,
I'm getting.
that's the confusion, yeah.
Okay.
Well,
So about every
So on this-
$25,000 around there is a percentage
Oh.
increase.
Okay. Good to
That's how
know.
you can think about that.
So we got about 100,000.
Or 100
75,000.
27,000 somewhere else.
125.
175,000
Oh,
is the difference,
oh, now it's like
Yes.
175,
yeah.
if you want to get to 0. You guys thought it was gonna be easy. Does that make you rethink wanting to add that money back in? Adam? We don't have that much left to vote on, right? That's it. This is the last thing.
After this, we have to vote on the department that's called other financing,
The financing.
and that's
Can't read.
related to
That's
capital.
That doesn't affect me. Oh,
But that capital will go up in that other way.
I guess the math would be, you're gonna save more than $27,000 with that new plan of the fire truck, which I feel like you would.
None of it changes the argument that
Right.
I've been thought of and someone else articulated. No, that doesn't change that at all. It's just hearing the number.
Oh, no, absolutely.
Below 5% sounded, yay, we did great work. And even though it's not that much over 5%, it sounds like it just,
the next 10 years, save it to one more.
No, I'm not disagreeing. I'm just saying,
No, that goal is a number. I get it.
where do you guys want to be? I guess is my question. Maybe that's the question.
I was happy with under 5%, but I mean, if we can't do it. I know, it's only 27,000, it wouldn't even be that much, because.
No, but it saves us.
We're
how many
fund
hundred
balances.
thousand? It saves us a couple of $100 grand, right?
Oh, yep. I just don't know where else, I mean, we've cut a lot out of this. Well, 27,000 doesn't save us a couple of $100,000. That would be
I
over the years.
Right. If we,
And
assuming that we increase
so-
that again next year.
If people want to stay under 5%, we could do. I don't know, the amount 10,000 more. Instead of 27,000. That would help.
Were we on the revenue share? On the, fund balance?
Let's see, you're right in the sweet spot. You're halfway.
75
We're
days,
at 75 days.
And how much is one day?
like 34.
The devil.
You brought it. somebody brought it
devil.
up.
I mean, that's the danger though. It's always,
The
what is one more
devil
day?
is in the room.
Well, maybe do it.
How much of it?
One day. That'll cover it. Or we could put 10,000 in instead of 27 and stay on target and not. It would not derail the fire truck.
50 days is our target.
Right.
And there was a
50
reason
days
to
is
do
the low target.
60.
60 to low.
60 to 90.
Yeah, 60 is a low target.
We're at 75 right now.
Yeah, look in your, if you look in your front of your book.
But we're on the annual calculation, sorry, the fund balance.
Yes.
Target level.
Front of the book in
Yeah, our
policy.
target level is 60 days, our minimum level is 30 days,
Right.
our maximum level is 90 days.
And last year, we went from how many days to 75 days?
Yeah, we were maxed out.
We were maxed.
Yeah,
So
it
that
shouldn't
was
be,
way
it's not good to be maxed out, it's not good to
Yeah,
have
but that's
that.
not gonna happen next year.
So
So we're not gonna have the same bump. Sorry, Dave.
Okay.
Might lose a day.
We say that every year.
Well, we went down a lot. That would be my recommendation. Take one more day off the fund balance. To cover that cost.
So you know,
And that takes up to.
we gotta vote on this motion first. We gotta vote on this motion first.
It's high.
We can take 5 days. We gotta vote on this motion first.
Okay.
If you took, want me to give you the
We didn't vote on, we
scenario?
didn't vote on the capital.
No, I understand that.
No,
We can do zero increase. Wouldn't take that many days.
So we're gonna vote on the 1,364,385. Is that what you're saying?
1,336,000.
No, 364.
$1,364,385.
That was mine and
Yeah, Ruben was select board. All in favor, select board? 5-0.
What are you doing?
We're gonna vote on the capital before we can.
Oh, okay, you're right, you're voting on the capital.
Yes. So the number you approved was 1,364,385. 385. Okay, do we have a motion on that for the budget committee?
Second.
Any more discussion? Personally, I would rather see maintaining the day fund. Any other discussion?
What do you mean by the rainy day fund?
Well, the
Fund balance.
Excess fund balance.
Fund balance, yeah.
But we have we're not at the target. We're above the target.
We need to vote on this first, though, right?
Right. But voting on this, if we approve this, then in order to reach the goal, the net tax goal,
Then we
we
need to
gotta
vote on
take money out of the fund balance. It's not a huge amount, but any other discussion? All those in favor? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Opposed, 1.
Okay, before we go, Jake, let's finish the other financing first. Page 57. Basically a wash, right, Dave?
What it does is it takes the Waldeboro portions of the transfer station and the capital fund and totals them for us.
Would you need that 8,900,000 approved? Is that what you?
And again,
No, we gotta do
other,
other financing.
Oh.
yeah, so that changes when transfer station or capital changes. So I have a new figure for other. It's $1,950,702. Because the capital, the town's capital appropriation is now $1,338,428. You can follow me on the yellow sheet. I know it's changed a little bit, but it's broken. If you look on the yellow sheet on the expense all the way at the bottom, the transfer station and capital are broken down. We didn't change the transfer station amount that the Waldeboro would be paying. It's the same as it was the year before, but the one under the capital changed to $1,338,428.
So you need a motion of 1,950,702.
Yes, please.
For
Other financing.
other financing,
I'm sorry, 1,338,000.
1,950,000.
That's
the total, right? Total.
Yes, but she was telling us how much we changed on the capital.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, what was that?
Well. Yes, $1,338,428 is the total that Waldeboro has to contribute.
Gotcha.
I apologize. Would you repeat that number one more time?
Yeah, I just also want to explain, it's not the total capital.
No, I understand.
Okay.
This is
Yeah.
for the capital reserve funds that the town pays in.
That
right?
just, yeah, okay,
Yeah.
great. I just want to make sure, because I know it's confusing. $1,338,428.
Thank you.
Everyone got that number?
Yes, I made the motion of 1,950,702.
Second.
2 or 3?
Two.
Two. So for other financing services uses. We've got a motion and seconded for $1,950,702. All in favor? 5-0.
We have 1,950,702. And financing. We have a motion.
I'll motion.
Thanks, John. Second.
Okay.
Dan, thank you. Any discussion? All those in favor? Any opposed? Take one.
Hey, now. Last thing we have to do is figure out a final number of them.
You wanted to add 2 days, because I heard you say that. I guess
One, but
One,
just to cover the cost of this.
We're at 75, we don't want to go to 60, but we can do what I'll go do.
1 day brings us to 4.51% over last.
We'll do it.
You. 3.4%.
Go under 4%.
And that still gives you 73 days.
It'll give you 73 days.
They're gonna wanna go, see, well, what's 3 days? give you?
You got one, everyone's gonna be excited about two, so. And what was the 2 days?
I get excited about five.
The percentage, 3.4%.
Nearly zero. We're asking our taxpayers to approve a bond that approve a high school budget that is extraordinary.
Take a week off.
I mean,
And we're still 10 days above target.
That's just our part. What about the county and the school? I mean, they're gonna sing.
That's nothing we can do about that.
Oh, I know there's nothing we
That's
can do about it,
affecting
they all gotta pay it.
No, but we
Somebody's
can
gotta pay
do
it.
something about it here, drop ourselves to 70 days, make 70 still 10 over our target.
Yep.
And gives us. At what is 5 days give us?
I know, if you go down to 75.
She asked.
I think.
I'm sorry, we're done doing one at a time. We're gonna do 5 days. Give us.
The inflation rate for 2025 was 2.6%, so we ought to keep it under that,
It would be nice.
at least under that.
I mean, we know that the
Ex-
county budget is higher, and we know that the school budget's gonna be tremendously higher.
Excuse me, just as a note on that figure, that's excluding the volatile fuel and food costs.
Yeah, those aren't in inflation
That's
for
just
some
the-
strange reason.
Just so you know, that is not a real inflation figure.
But we can talk about that for the next 10 days.
Yeah, right.
No,
But let's.
I don't disagree. I don't disagree with you.
I don't think it's.
So if you take it down, Peg, if you take it down to
I just say we're gonna start.
65.
Oh, God.
So
You don't have to be. I've made my point.
added
You
5
know,
more days.
I'm
So that
gonna
would
be.
be 80,
I need to-
right? Because Julie had factored in the 75 to get
Yeah,
us to 70.
I don't want you to add 5 days, I want you to take 5 days.
No, I'm saying if I take 5 days, I'm
Get us to
sorry.
70.
Yeah, yes, to 70.
8 down to 7,
Yeah, that brings us to
negative.
no,
Mm-mm.
0.06%. $1,980 more than last year.
And that brings us 70 days
Yeah.
and above.
What was
And
it,
about
0.1?
0.06%.
I mean, I would like to just point out that. I mean, this sheet's in here as well, and it's like, when the fund balance, you know. It seems a little scary to keep. Taking away from
Chipping
the
away
fund
at it.
balance, because we took a lot, I mean, I say we, I wasn't on the committee last year, but I was in the audience. That's a little scary to me to continue to
Because
take a
when
lot
you
away.
started 12 years ago, we was at 43 days.
That's why we wrote the policy,
That was that.
that this policy was written because there was no policy.
And then that- and
Somebody
that's
decided to
comfortable.
spend it all.
Right, it's comfortable.
But that's why you can't, if you can't go over 90, it's wrong to go over 90 days.
We're not at 90 days.
I know that,
What are you?
but the target is 60. I mean, that was, we took time.
That's the
and wrote
minimum,
this
that's the
policy.
No, the
minimum,
minimum is 30.
the minimum target currently is
No,
60.
the minimum level is 30 days. That's you could never go less than that, we shouldn't go to that anyway. The target level, what the town decided when this was written, that they wanted to target it about 60 days. That was what we're going for. If we had lots and lots of money, perhaps, you could go 90, but you can't go 90. You don't want to, because if you do, that's hoarding money that the taxpayers need. And so this, they spent a lot of time doing this, writing this. I was on the board then.
Jan and I both.
And that was we were aiming for 60 days. So, or, between 60, not above 90.
Getting more, we can put it towards the fire truck.
And this is what percent of our tax bill? I did not know. 26. Our town budget is what percent of the tax bill?
It's like 26.
26 is what comes to my head.
Yeah,
when I-
you care.
26.4.
So we're keeping, my suggestion is keeping 26% at pretty flat. And we know the other 74% is for sure going up fairly sharply.
I will just say this. People will not understand that. When they come in to pay their taxes. They won't understand.
I'm on the select board, I'm well aware who they think's.
They
is to
will
blame for the
think,
tax.
I'm just letting you know. and then-
Actually, less than 26%.
We do a pretty good job here in.
Well, right, because
Explaining,
What?
we do a pretty
Yeah.
good job explaining to our residents, our taxpayers, what percentage goes to where.
Right. We try.
Yeah, we had a flat budget a few years ago.
Last 2 years. Last 2 years in a row.
Last 2 years,
Oh,
absolutely.
because
Yeah.
When, I remember when Bob and I were on the board, if we had a flat year.
Last 2 years we did. You're not gonna get thanked for every good thing you do. Be nice if you could.
I think it's an important way for us to say, we worked hard, keep this budget close to zero, because we believe, and I'm only speaking for me, we believe that this school bond or this school budget is necessary.
I'm gonna back you up. I agree with you.
So,
If that's the message, I like it.
I mean, you can't, but seeing, it's the fact, like, seeing them all go up is frightening.
Is there a motion in there somewhere or?
Yeah.
So we're fundamentally increasing our contribution to the school district.
I mean, the taxpayers have to vote that. Not us. I mean.
No, but I mean, the mechanics of this,
Yeah.
meaning I'm not disagreeing with you,
Yeah,
but fundamentally, that's what we're doing.
What other choice you have?
It's a quandary, isn't it?
yeah.
I mean,
I could have completely read the room wrong when we were having a presentation by the school. But my impression was that people are well aware of the challenges that are happening within the building.
the public, you mean?
People here, people in this room.
Oh, in this room, yeah, I mean, yeah.
We're gonna get out of the community what we put into it. This is what we can control in the room.
Yeah.
And then after this meeting, let's look at some things where maybe we can generate some other voluntary revenue. Food trucks come to mind. I'm gonna be loud about food trucks, by the way.
An electric go-kart at the former manufacturing.
It has a new name. Madonna River Park.
We're gonna call it the Light Bulb Racetrack.
So is anyone gonna make that motion? I'll make the motion to go down to 70 days of fund back.
You want the second, Becky?
Sure,
Right,
second.
okay.
Any more discussion on this one?
Do you want a new revenue total? Or are you still
Net.
talking?
So your official motion is to offset
The fund balance.
with
change the
fund
balance.
balance, reducing it to 70 days.
Which would give, what would be the
Which will increase revenue to,
revenue would be what now?
5,724,730. 5,724,730. 730.
What does that mean?
That's the point 061. Bringing us to a total of what percent savings?
5 days equals how much, please?
So,
Average started at
0.06%.
This one. Which is 27.
Each day is 34,665 times 5 days is $173,325 added to the figure that was in there. That was $901,270. So we would be using $1,074,615 of fund balance. Did I say that too fast?
Yeah.
1,074,000 something.
Yeah, so the new fund balance total would be $1,074,615. Because we just increased it by 173,000 and change.
If we increase the revenue amount, do we have to go again on the revenue?
Yeah, well, that's what we're doing right now, changing it.
Okay. This will be the third time we've had the revenue. Third time's the charm, right?
Fund balances.
Is there, I understand why, I'm just saying.
Okay, so
Motion on the floor right now and seconded for 5,724,000. 730.
Say that again.
5,724,730.
2, 4.
730.
730.
All in favor, some select board. 3, 4, 5.
You look He was here when there wasn't any fund balance.
I was.
So he,
yeah, oh yeah.
We went through it.
But we know why there wasn't any, and that's why this policy was written,
Yep.
so that that would never happen again. Nor there was a time when there was too much.
Mhm.
And that's not fair, that's not its purpose, and that wasn't fair to the taxpayers.
so this vote is in keeping with the policy.
Yes,
Very
Well,
much.
well within the policy.
You're at between 60 and 90, you're at 70.
Yeah, so that's.
I budgeted at 75. I put it right square in the middle. Knowing that you guys might want to talk about it.
Sometimes you need it.
It's like you've been through this.
Yeah, I'm hyperventilating over
The
here.
chocolate offer.
Yeah, I need some more chocolate. A moment ago, Val called it a rainy day fund. I know it's not a rainy day fund, but if you think about it, but if you think about it, that's what we're doing. Yeah, but I mean, but that's, and I don't have a problem with that, because
Yeah.
that's what it's there for,
It's
right?
there
Isn't it?
to offset the tax.
To offset the tax burden so that we can go to the taxpayers with straight faces and good, clear consciences and say, we need you to support the school budget. We need you to support the bond. And because we need you to do that and how much we believe in that, this is what we did.
What did we get for fund balance last year? What did we add to our collection? It's in there somewhere.
We went like 84, 86 days.
I mean, do you know how much money came in that
No.
went into the fund balance?
Hold on.
How many days did we have last year?
3,489,499 dollars.
Okay. So over 3 million.
And the year before, we put 3,571,000.
Okay.
And the year before, it was 41. I mean, it's, it's.
Okay, and that's the other thing, just to keep, to watch.
Yeah, Ben makes a good point. If the number keeps going down,
Yeah, you
And
watch it, that,
it's-
you have
it's
to
a-
watch that.
it's a good point to make.
I mean, there's 26 days last year, that's a lot. 5 days, it's not as much. I understand it's in keeping with the policy. I mean, the logic appeals, it makes sense. It just,
But it was more than
Yeah.
the 5 days. It was, how many days did we actually start with?
This time,
Mhm.
I put 75 days.
No, how many days did we actually have
Before that.
before you knocked it in?
Hold
So,
on. 101.
See, we was
A lot.
Oh, well, so we still knocked
31.
31 days.
And we'll, I mean,
We'll recoup that, and if we
we'll
don't, we'll-
recoup,
We're doing that about every year.
and Daryl's
30
number
weeks.
will be right next year. So you can look at it like that.
It should never be that easy of a decision. This is a great time to be reminded what the mechanics are, what we're using, what our rules are.
Which is why I'm glad that Ben brought up the point
Yeah.
he did.
Yeah, exactly.
But can I just point out one thing, because this is my pet peeve about you guys. You've only got one? I have one, is that it's 8:30 on the last night, and this is probably a discussion that you guys should be having much earlier. On.
We don't want them to.
Well, I understand that, but just think about what we've spent time on throughout this process. And now we're here. I just want to point that out, that this is to me a really great conversation. But I can tell you that during this budget, there were some conversations that I would wish we spent less time on and more time on this conversation. And that's what I'm trying to say.
At
is-
this point in time, the select board made a motion,
But we've already voted on
budget committee.
Sorry.
Wait,
All
I'm
right, pet peeve.
I got the, wait, did you actually vote? I only
Yeah,
got
we
the
voted.
vote.
Yeah,
And then-
yeah.
I must have been looking down.
You were supposed to
Because
play-
I've been suffering. I've been being the drama queen over there.
Yeah, oh, that's right, you were
Oh, that
praying
makes
when you were
sense.
voting.
Oh, it should.
Do you want to modify the model agenda for next year?
Okay.
We have a figure of. What is the figure? 5,724,730 for revenue. We have a motion from the budget committee for that. Okay, who's got the motion? Let's get the second.
You can. Brendan and Kelly.
Okay,
Okay.
all right, any more discussion?
just one point that usually at the fund balance is usually discussed at the very end, once you reach it, so.
Yeah. And it's.
I wish it were
No, that's a
7
good
o'clock
point.
now instead of.
I just wanted,
Yeah.
yeah, right,
Yeah.
7 o'clock instead of 8.
I agree.
What are we
At least
voting
didn't
on?
Spend as much time on the,
The
Revenue.
Revenue. The new.
The fund balance, the fund, this includes the fund balance.
Yeah,
5
it's the
days
total
off.
revenue.
Yep,
number.
thank you.
So we're,
Just want to
This is
be,
the final vote.
This is the final vote.
yeah, so we
I'm
have
missing
70
one.
days.
On this one, you know,
Fund balance, which is 10 days over the target of 60 days.
And 40 days above your minimum.
Glass half full right there.
And we can have this discussion again next year. Any more?
Oh, the only point I wanted to make was that, I think Becky makes a good argument. If the argument is made public. If you, we say we need to go to the voters to, who is going to the voters to say that? I'm sure Becky is, because she interfaces with a lot of people in the school system. I don't think everyone at this table is actually gonna spend that time knocking on doors and say, this is the work we did, John. Okay. I don't think everyone at the same level would do that.
we sent out a voter guide and last year Val and I wrote a pretty detailed letter on explaining a lot of this.
I wasn't seeing that one.
Even though we're not face to face talking, I would agree, Michael, that when you're talking to people, I didn't mean to interrupt. you.
No, I just to say that, yes, that, it makes the most sense when you find as many ways as possible to, have that conversation with people. Because it's not like an individual making a decision around their investment saying, well, I can risk that. Because this is their world. They know how to adjust. But here you're dealing with an entire town of people. So the question is, how do you engage everyone in feeling good about how they're voting? And it takes writing to the newspaper and, talking with people as much as possible. So I totally approve it. The argument makes sense as long as many people know why you're doing that and then are acting to support the school budget because of it. Right? So That's all. I
So the
think it's,
select board could technically, in the budget committee, at the end of this, could do a motion to say that.
to say what Becky was saying.
Yeah, say that we support,
To
to say that
to
we-
endorse
this is
the-
why we did this.
To endorse
Oh, okay, yeah, yeah, yeah.
You kind of endorse it, you're gonna, you could do a motion to endorse the school bond and the school budget. Or one or the other. or
We
both.
can't do it individually unless everyone agrees.
Right, and I think it's a stronger argument to use the fund balance this way by saying that, because I remember last year, the argument was basically just, you know, it's nice not to have an increase in a budget. Well, that is nice, but now you're saying because we want you to support something else. That makes so much more sense.
powerful.
So it's nice to hear that versus just like, oh, let's not raise, you know, no one wants anything to go up, but there's sometimes you do have to pay for things like a school. So to connect the two, I think is a really powerful statement.
Can I make a comment?
That's all.
We in the works have to kind of piggyback on what you're saying. We are working on a couple poster board school size advertisements, if you will, that will be going in the lobby for people all the time that
Yeah.
will put the school information. And I can do one with the town information, with our local, if I hadn't thought of that. I was just gonna put the school out there so that people could see it. But, and know what they're doing. Or what they have, what their options are.
We can't put out a sign, the select board, so like,
No,
walking into the polling place, but,
right.
but having
No
that
voter
information out there
influence.
is important for people, like the amounts and things. That's what
Right.
she's putting on the board.
Word of mouth works really well, and if you know, if you've been in town, you know which words, you know, which mouths to. Well, people that care about the budget and they don't want to see an increase. I can give you names of those privately. But, and I will contact those people because they want to know, they do want to know that we have kept things.
Here's a crazy thing. I don't know if is there anything that says the budget committee and the select board can't review the school budget or their requests and like we put on every other vote,
Right, yeah, what is that?
Make a recommendation.
like a recommendation. I'm just saying.
We don't have it yet. We wouldn't have it.
Right.
We
I-
we
this
won't,
was the
we won't
thought.
know that till after, but they probably, because I was handed this. By, Karen said, you want something to read? So I'll pass this around, everyone wants to
Well,
read
you
it,
won't know till May
but it's not
Right,
complete
you're
yet.
not
It's all-
gonna know till
it's all-
May fifth.
It's all online too. and you
Yeah,
can
That's
just
right,
put
we
each
wouldn't
parent,
have
each-
enough time.
Each
Huh?
school,
It's just a
each.
thought. We wouldn't have enough time to put it on.
I don't think we'd have enough time to put on ours at all. 'cause
Right.
No,
Well, we still haven't voted.
Yeah, I'm good.
Yeah, I have one more question. Peg, what is the final figure with this revenue?
The final
The net.
net change over last year.
Yes, 0.06.
Yeah, 0.06%, $1,980,
So what are we, like $7 over?
$1,980 over.
What's one lot job?
What'd you say?
That's one lot job.
Have any idea? Does anybody have any idea what other towns?
They're
in Lincoln County
struggling.
are doing? Or is any other town in Lincoln County gonna be able to hold their increase to 0.06%?
I mean, their makeups are entirely different. It was kind of.
I understand.
Overall.
Right, I know, but I'm just saying, it's, well, you also look at what Bristol's doing over again.
Yeah, right.
School district right now, that's, anyway.
We're exceptionally well run.
I go back 12 years.
Well, that's true, and I think, and I do, I think.
12 years ago with Jan and I on the board, in the hole we had to dig this town out of. Move it out. Took us several years before we finally did it.
Use the post hole.
An excavator.
Keep voting.
But we are,
I call a vote.
well run.
Can I
You
do
just
that?
call for a vote?
I call a vote. I call for a vote.
Move the question.
Move the question.
Whatever I have to say. Robert's Rules
Okay,
of
do we have a
Order.
second on moving the question? Because now we have to vote on that. Okay. All those in favor of moving the question?
What? Oh.
We have to vote on that.
If I call for a vote, that's the same.
It's already open,
Then we
yeah.
vote.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay,
Gotta move,
don't we?
you gotta move the question.
Or Val could just
We
say,
can
let's
do
vote
Other people
now.
more people may want to discuss and other than.
Right, if all those in favor of moving the question,
I do that?
1,
Should I
2,
vote?
3, 4,
This is so we can vote.
5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay.
Anybody
gonna
wants to vote?
Now we are going to, you can't filibuster now. So we have a figure of. Get it right here, $5,724,730 in the revenue side of the budget. All those in favor? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Thank you.
So what's next? Good day.
Next was adjournment.
Can
I just say,
I know, I wanted Val to.
can I just say thank you to the town, Julie and
Yeah.
Pam and Peg. Because I think our greatest investment is in the right people in the right positions. If you invest in those people, then everything will be run to its maximum effectiveness. And I think that that's what we witness in these meetings with all the preparatory material and all the work that's already been done and shared so clearly with us all. So I believe that the town has made the best investment with you all. Thank you.
Peg will be sending out her annual paperwork and her survey. So don't forget, fill it out often and early.
The results of the survey from last year are in your book, in the back of the book, if you wanted to see, if you didn't notice.
Anything you say in the survey will be printed. I figured that out.
I'm like,
Okay, I'd like to thank the budget committee for doing their thing again this year. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Anyone care to second that?
I'll second.
Any discussion? Those in favor?
Move the question.
Scott, would you like to adjourn?
That's awesome.
We got a vote for the select board to adjourn. I have a second.
Second.
The discussion I've had is thanks a lot for everyone. I won't be sitting in this chair next year. And it's been fun. It's been great. All in favor?